The masses are walking financial corpses and they do not even know it. Every year, millions of people set out to capture their first $10,000, but research confirms a brutal reality. 90% of them will surrender within 6 months. Most quit before they even hit the $3,000 mark. They blame a lack of willpower, a low salary, or bad luck. They are wrong. The truth is that the modern world has been engineered to keep you in a state of perpetual financial bankruptcy. You have been trained to save money completely backwards by a system that profits from your ignorance. This video is the antidote. I'm going to provide you with the exact psychological blueprints and mechanical frameworks used by the global elite to bypass human biological weakness and secure the bag. We are moving beyond basic advice and into the realm of financial laws. This is the code to your first $10,000 and the key to escaping the invisible cage of the middle class. To understand why you are currently struggling, you must understand that your brain is a relic of a primitive era. Scientists call the primary obstacle loss aversion. In simple terms, your brain is a survival machine that perceives a $100 withdrawal from your bank account as a physical threat to your existence. Evolutionarily, losing resources meant death. Therefore, the pain of losing $100 is twice as intense as the pleasure of finding that same amount. When you try to save money manually, you are essentially asking your brain to inflict pain upon itself every single month. This is why traditional advice about grit and sacrifice is a fairy tale. Your biology is rigged against you. The average person tries to fight their biology with willpower. The elite person builds a system that makes biology irrelevant. If you want to win, you must remove the human element from the equation. A landmark study from 2004 revealed a staggering truth. Individuals who utilized a specific automation strategy saved 3.88 times more money than those who relied on their own discipline. This has nothing to do with how much they earned or how hard they worked. It was about eliminating psychological friction. Imagine you are earning a standard salary of $67,000 a year. By implementing a zero-friction automation setup, you could effortlessly secure nearly $7,000 annually without ever making a single manual transfer. This is the concept of the future self-tax. You are essentially allowing your future, more successful self to tax your current, impulsive self at a rate of 10%. Because the money is intercepted before it ever hits your field of vision, your brain never registers the loss. You cannot miss what you never had. The builders do not keep their money in one giant pile. They use a dual vault system. Vault 1 is for spending and survival. It covers your fixed obligations, the roof over your head, the lights, the insurance, and your basic fuel. To master this vault, you must audit the last 6 months of your life and find your true baseline. Vault 2 is the fortress. It is for pure savings and eventual expansion. This money is untouchable. On payday, the system splits your income immediately. Whatever remains in Vault 1 at the end of the cycle is not a permission slip to spend more. It is a bonus that flows into the fortress. Once the capital is in the fortress, it follows a strict hierarchy of deployment. First, an emergency buffer covering 6 months of reality. Second, a high-yield engine to combat inflation. Third, the investment vehicles that build generational power. The beauty of this is that the decision is made once and then executed forever by the machine. You are no longer a participant in your savings. You are the architect of a system that functions while you sleep. The reason most people fail to hit $10,000 is because they view it as a mountain. It is not a mountain. It is a collection of small pebbles. $10,000 a year breaks down to exactly $833 per month. That still intimidates the average mind. But let us use the Feynman technique to simplify this even further. $833 a month is just $27.40 per day. This is the cost of a mediocre lunch in a major city. When you frame it this way, you realize that $10,000 is not a financial problem. It is a lifestyle problem. You are not sacrificing your future. You are simply choosing to stop paying a daily tax on your own mediocrity. Every time you brew your own coffee instead of paying a 500% markup at a drive-thru, you have secured $5. Every time you choose the subway over a rideshare, you have secured $7. Every time you cook a meal at home instead of ordering through an app that overcharges you for convenience, you have secured $15. You are not becoming a hermit. You are becoming intentional. The person sitting next to you on the train is making the opposite choices and will spend the next 40 years wondering why they are perpetually broke. You are making marginally different decisions today so that you can live an entirely different life tomorrow. Before we move into the neurological weaponry of brands, I want to ask you a question that separates the visionaries from the average. Look at your bank statement from the last 30 days. Are you currently the architect of your own empire, or are you just a resource being mined by other people's companies? If you are ready to stop being the fuel for someone else's jet, comment architect below. If you are still making excuses, stay silent and let the algorithm consume you. We must address why you feel the urge to spend even when you know better. You are being hunted. Global corporations spend billions of dollars studying your brain's weaknesses. They have turned your mind into a profit machine. The primary weapon they use is present bias. This is the biological urge to value a small immediate reward over a massive future gain. Your brain is wired for instant gratification because, in the jungle, tomorrow was never guaranteed. But you are not in the jungle. You are in a digital casino designed by Amazon and Google. They use dopamine to control your movements. Most people think dopamine is the reward you get after you buy something. It is not. Dopamine is the chemical of anticipation. It is the high you feel while you are scrolling, while you are adding items to your cart, and while you are waiting for the package to arrive. The moment you actually own the item, the dopamine drops to zero. This is why you buy things you don't need, feel great for an hour, and then throw the item in a closet and forget it exists. The pleasure was never in the product. The pleasure was in the wanting. The elite do not fight dopamine. They redirect it. There is a simple, almost surgical method to neutralize impulse spending. When you see something you want, do not tell yourself no. The word no creates psychological friction. Instead, tell yourself not now. Place the item on a digital list and give yourself permission to enjoy the anticipation. Feel the dopamine hit of wanting it. But you are forbidden from clicking the buy button for 30 days. Research in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology shows that this delay works because it separates the emotional spike from the rational decision. 92% of the time, after 2 weeks, you will look at that list and wonder why you ever wanted those items in the first place. The urgency was manufactured. By waiting, you have effectively stolen that money back from the corporations and placed it into your own fortress. To become part of the 1%, you must stop seeing money as a medium of exchange and start seeing it as a seed. Every dollar has a future version of itself. This is the law of future value. That $5 coffee is not $5. If you invested that $5 at a 10% annual return, it would become $13 in 10 years and $34 in 20 years. Every time you spend $5 on a whim, you are effectively burning $34 of your future self's money. This is even more dramatic with larger purchases. A $3,000 gadget or vacation package, if invested at a 10% return, would become $8,000 in a decade. In 30 years, that same $3,000 would have grown into $52,000. Now ask yourself, is that couch or that week in the sun worth $52,000 to your future self? Sometimes the answer is yes. Most of the time, once you see the real price tag, the desire vanishes. The rich think in decades, the poor think in minutes. The rich see every dollar as a soldier that can be sent to war to capture more dollars. The poor see every dollar as something to be executed immediately for a momentary hit of comfort. Now we must discuss the most tattered part of the human psyche, the ego. Author Morgan Housel correctly identified that the equation for wealth is not income minus expenses, it is income minus ego. Look around your living space. How much of what you own was bought because you genuinely needed it, and how much was bought to prove a point to people you don't even like? Most spending beyond the basics is simply an ego tax. We upgrade our phones because our peers did. We finance luxury vehicles to signal status we haven't actually earned. We live in apartments that consume 50% of our income just to maintain an image of success. This is a trap. The faster your income grows, the more your ego wants to expand to consume it. This is why surgeons and lawyers often have zero net worth. They are subsidizing a lifestyle to impress a society that doesn't care about them. Actual wealth is silent. Actual wealth is the ability to drive a 10-year-old car while your bank account grows by 6 figures. It is the power to say no to expensive dinners and social media validated vacations because you are busy building an empire that strangers cannot see. We have all been there. We have all bought something expensive just to fit in, only to regret it when the credit card bill arrived. I want to create a safe space for the builders here. What is the one thing you bought purely for your ego that you now realize was a mistake? By sharing it, you are releasing its power over you and helping others avoid the same trap. Write it down in the comments. Let us see how much we have collectively paid in ego taxes. Even with the best math and the tightest systems, you will face moments of weakness. To survive these, you need more than a spreadsheet. You need a visceral why. A 2019 study found that people with a deep emotional connection to their savings goals were 3.3 times more likely to succeed. Not 3%, but 330%. You need a reason that makes your chest tighten when you think about it. For some of the visionaries in our community, it is the memory of seeing their parents work themselves into the grave and vowing to never let that be their story. For others, it is the desire to have the power to walk away from a soul-crushing job without asking for permission. This is what Simon Sinek calls the golden circle. Most people start with what they are doing, saving money. Then they move to how, automating transfers. But they never reach the why. The why is the fuel. It transforms saving from a chore into a mission. When you are standing in a store tempted by a shiny object, a statistic about compound interest will not save you. But the image of your family's future freedom will. The greatest lie the system tells you is that you should wait until the time is right. You tell yourself you will start saving when you get the raise, when the debt is paid, or when the world is more stable. This is a delusion. The perfect moment is a ghost. It does not exist. While you are waiting for the stars to align, years are slipping through your fingers. You already have the tools. You have the automation framework to remove human error. You have the daily breakdown that makes $10,000 feel like a lunch choice. You have the 30-day rule to kill the dopamine monsters. And you have the future value calculation to see the real cost of every cent. The only thing standing between your current reality and a 5-figure fortress is action. Information without execution is just entertainment. It is a form of intellectual masturbation that feels good but produces nothing. Wealth is not about having a lot of stuff. Wealth is about having a lot of options. It is about the silence of your ego and the strength of your systems. When you hit that $10,000 mark, something in your DNA changes. You realize that you are no longer a victim of the economy. You are a participant in it. You have proven to yourself that you can master your biology and outmaneuver the billion-dollar corporations that want you broke. You have transitioned from a consumer to a builder. This $10,000 is your fuck you fund. It is your seed capital. It is the first brick in a fortress that will eventually provide you with total autonomy over your time and your life. For those of you still watching, those of you who are truly committed to joining the 1%, here is a final hard truth. You cannot grow a garden if you are still watering the weeds. Perform an ego audit this weekend. Go through your recurring subscriptions and your monthly bills. Identify one expense that exists solely for your social image. It might be a membership you don't use, a car payment that is too high, or a clothing habit that is out of control. Kill it immediately. Take that exact amount and add it to your automated transfer. This is the ultimate test of whether you value your freedom more than you value the opinions of strangers. If you have made it this far, you are part of the minority that actually finishes what they start. To let me know you are ready to take control, comment the architect below. This is our secret signal to find the ones who are awake. The system wants you to click away and watch something mindless next. Do not let them win. Your journey into the elite mindset is just beginning. If you want to understand how the global financial powers truly move the world, click the video on the screen right now.